Hello, my name is Katie Brindle and I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner and here to help you unleash the amazing power of self-healing within your own body using these ancient techniques which are as relevant today as they ever were. So today I'm going to talk to you about the power of your organs and what you can do to really help yourself with them. So do please hit the subscribe button and forward this to anybody that you think might benefit from a little bit of organ power. Now, the thing that we need to understand is that in Chinese medicine, the whole of the body is ruled by the organs, primarily by the heart, which is deemed to be the commander of the body, organizing and controlling absolutely everything. But in turn, the heart has its ministers, and these ministers are the other four key organs, which are the lungs, the spleen, the kidneys, and the liver. And alongside the heart, they form what we call part of the five elements. Now, in Chinese medicine, these organs are responsible for the entire health of your body, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And when we're not feeling ourselves or we're slightly at sorts, then there's a huge amount that we can do to work with these organs in order to strengthen the energy of the body and thus feel better. Something really interesting about Chinese medicine is that we don't view mental health as mental health. We view it as an imbalance of one or more of these key organs, and we treat accordingly. Now, this is quite handy because aside from obviously being under Western supervision, it is entirely possible to support the body from the roots upwards whilst taking medication to support and ideally strengthen the body, thus enabling you to feel hopefully that little bit better. So there's a lot that we can do to help you with this. So let's go into these organs a little bit more in turn and explain what they're all about. So the heart is the commander of the body, responsible for not only the own mechanism of itself and the connecting energy that's attached to the heart, i.e. when our heartstrings expand out and connect to other people. This is the primary responsibility of the heart, but it's also responsible for the blood circulation and ensuring that the 3 trillion cells of your body that are permanently relating to each other are all under control and under the control of indeed homeostasis. So what we find with the heart is that it is indeed the commander of the body. In Chinese medicine, it was considered that it would receive the signals from the outside world and then be permanently adjusting and controlling what was going on the inside. The next organ is the spleen. So the spleen is the primary organ of the digestive system in Chinese medicine, aligned and linked to its pair with the stomach. And between the two of them, they're responsible for transforming and transporting all of the food that you eat and changing it into this all-important qi or life force. Now, the earth element, or the spleen, which is its primary organ, is responsible for grounding and stabilizing the energy of the body. So often if we're feeling ungrounded or a bit wobbly, it's normally because the spleen energy is not quite in harmony and therefore having a little bit of a wobble. So very simple exercise I'm going to teach you in a minute to ensure that we can ground and stabilize. Now, the virtue of the spleen is trust. Our ability to trust our own instincts and to trust other people around us. And the slightly more difficult emotion attached to the spleen is worry. So if you find yourself worrying excessively or being a bit of a worrier, it's normally an indication that the spleen is off balance. We then move on to the lungs. Now, the lungs are responsible for the down-bearing and downloading of the breath that comes into the body that then in turn gets circulated throughout all of the cells in order to bring this all-important life force into the body 25,000 times a day, sometimes consciously and mainly not. Now, the lungs are responsible for gratitude and that beautiful emotion of our manners. But the more difficult emotion attached to the lungs is letting go, or indeed grief in its most extreme format. But letting go is something that most of us who aren't necessarily grief-stricken on a day-to-day basis, certainly we find letting go difficult. And in this day and age, it's even more difficult because with the onslaught of social media, it's actually very difficult to let go of anything because people tend to be orbiting around for many, many years, popping up in our feeds or in other people's photographs left, right and centre, making it very difficult for us to indeed indeed let go, which creates quite a lot of issues as a result. But the lungs are responsible for this process. We only need to look at the leaves falling off the trees in autumn to see how that letting go process can then bear fruit in the new spring, when those very leaves form the leaf litter and the nutrients for the next generation of leaves to come through. That's entirely the same with the human body. Now, the next one is the kidneys. So the kidneys are responsible for wisdom in the high virtue of the organ, but also the more difficult emotion of fear. So if you find yourself paralyzed with fear, or often finding situations quite fearful for you to actually proceed, then normally it would indicate that the kidneys are off balance. So another exercise that we can do is work with the breath to strengthen the kidneys, to enable you to rest assured that there's always wisdom to be learned from any situation, and perhaps to try and help ourselves let go of fear and work with our wisdom. And that then takes us finally through to our liver, which is part of the wood element. And the liver is very much responsible for anger and frustration and resentment, but also the higher virtue of compassion and kindness and forgiveness. Often we find the liver is attributed to the blueprint of the soul. And the blueprint of the soul is all about the meaning of life and the reason why you're here at all. Often the reason why we feel angry and frustrated. So often it's a very useful thing to note that if you are feeling a bit like and you're not feeling kind of like you're on your purpose and that's resonating inside you, it normally means that there's an imbalance going on in your liver. So a very simple exercise that you can do across the board to strengthen all of these organs, which in turn will strengthen the emotional patterns of your body, is a simple exercise called the smiling breath. Now, this is a very, very simple exercise to do. So join me and I'll teach you how to do it. So first of all, you take your hands, either fold them like this or like this, and then place them on your lower belly. You just bring that slightly forward so that you can see what I'm doing. So here's my lower belly here. And I'm just resting my hands here where it's a lovely, comfortable feeling in that lower belly area. Now, this is important because this part of the body is called the dantian, and this is the lower energetic center of the body. The upper dantian is here in the third eye, the middle in the heart, and the lower where my hands are placed now. And all we're going to do is close our eyes. Just breathe in deeply, allowing the breath in and out slowly. And after a couple of breaths, just allow a Mona Lisa smile, just like the painting, to extend across your lips. And as you're gently breathing in and out, allow the same Mona Lisa smile to extend across your lower belly, where your hands are clasped. This exercise is so simple. Immediately relaxes the body, immediately engages you with the lower energetic center, so you start to feel grounded and relaxed. Just keep breathing and smiling down. It also becomes a very early stage of meditation. And rather than trying to empty our minds, focusing on nothing at all, this exercise allows the monkey mind that jumps from thought to thought to focus on one single-minded proposition, the smile down in your lower belly. And once you started to experience that lovely, delicious, rested feeling, and focusing your energy down in the lower belly, you can start to extend the exercise into the organs we've just discussed. So take your attention to your heart and smile into your heart. Smile like Mona Lisa. Allow yourself to really feel your heart. Be aware of where it is, its beating, its shape. Give it the attention it deserves. Breathing in slowly. And breathing out. And then in turn, go to your lungs. Be aware of the lungs and the rib cage. Extend your Mona Lisa smile across the whole of the area. Being aware of the entire tubes inside your body. All of the area of the lungs, breathing and feeling them resonate to the smile. And then take your attention to your spleen, which is here on the left-hand side of your body. Smile into the spleen. Feel the energy resonating with the attention of your upper dantian, your third eye. Smiling into the organ. And now to the liver, the right-hand side of your lungs, on your right. Smiling down into the liver, being aware of its presence, of its energies, and then go to the back, just under the ribs. Focus on the 2 kidneys, either side of your spine. Smile into the kidneys. Use the breath to relax the body. Now to complete the sequence, simply take all of those smiles and start to gather them inside the heart. Be aware of your heart beating, being aware. And to come out of the exercise, simply imagine that smile coming up through the throat, the back of the mouth, to the back of the eyes, and feel that smile starting to blink out through your eyes, which comes through in something called your Sheng, which is really your emotional well-being. It's a wonderful exercise for strengthening all of the organs of the body, and also as an intro into meditation. Such a simple thing to do. So I hope you found that useful, and I will in turn be back with more self-healing techniques using this incredible ancient wisdom that's been left to us. So do hit subscribe and send this to anyone that you think might be interested. Thank you for watching.